Welcome back, everyone, to another one of our Sustained by Grace Ministries and Outreach program, where we seek to nurture you back to wholeness and life. It is indeed a pleasure to have you once more viewing with us. And tonight we're looking at the topic, are you or your child dyslexic? It's a topic that we don't often spoke about, but it is one that is very crucial, as is all of our topic that we present here to our people. And we want to make our people aware of what dyslexia is, how it affects us, and how it affects our loved ones. So tonight it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome back, everyone who will be logging on to Zoom with us and those who are viewing on YouTube. Let me start as usual with a scripture. Just give me a second here as I share with you my scripture that speaks to how wonderful God thinks of us. So I'm looking at this scripture tonight because I believe that everybody is special in the sight of God. And no matter who we are, what we have, we are beautifully and wonderfully made. So Psalms 139, verse 13 to 16 stated, "For thou hast possessed my reins, thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret, and curiously wrought in the lowest part of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which is in continuance, were fashioned, when as yet there were none of them. How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O God. How great is the sum of them." I believe that God really chose each and every one of us for a special task. And as I said before, there's no disability. There's nothing that is within us that God is surprised about. So tonight, as we look at dyslexia is a gem. You know, it is something that we can use to our own advantage. However, if we are not aware of the fact that we have this problem, then we won't know how to solve the problem. But before I put on my presenter tonight, I want to briefly share with us a clipping from a YouTube video. So it's not our video, it's a YouTube video, all right, on dyslexia, reading, writing, and spelling problem. Let's take a look at it.
Or read the description below. If you want to support our mission and help change education, visit Dyslexia. In school, they tend to read slowly. Around 5 to 10% of all children are born with dyslexia. In school, they tend to read slowly, have difficulty understanding simple texts, or make a lot of spelling mistakes when writing. Now, while they are as intelligent as others, having received years of instruction doesn't change the fact that their brains struggle organizing symbols in their heads. Minds of children with dyslexia may switch numbers when reading, swap letters as they appear, or skip words when writing. Some see their handwritten letters backwards, and others struggle with grammar rules. Spelling correctly is often impossible. Before we learn what to do about that, we can hear the true story of a dyslexic boy who overcame his weakness, used his disability to an advantage, and became a self-made billionaire. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Ingvar. He grew up on a small farm. Ingvar's grandfather died after realizing he could no longer afford to pay the mortgage. But the grandmother's dedication and hard work saved the farm, and the boy learned that perseverance can lead to a better life, and a better life he wanted. But when Ingvar started school, he struggled, and at one point his father told him he would never amount to anything. What nobody knew back then was Ingvar had dyslexia, inherited from his ancestors, just like the color of his hair. Regardless, he didn't let his problems get him down, and at age 6, Ingvar started selling single matches to his neighbors. Soon after, he asked his aunt in Stockholm to send him matches from the wholesale market. Ingvar then split the boxes into smaller packages and resold them at a greater profit. Seeking his father's support, the young entrepreneur soon reached an entirely new level. By the age of 10, Ingvar would cross the neighborhood on his bicycle, selling fish and pencils. At 14, he sold belts, watches, and wallets stocked under his bed at his boarding school. In 1943, when he was 17 years old, his father helped him to register his company. He named it after himself, Ingvar Kamprad, plus the initials from the farm and village he grew up in. Expanding his line of furniture, Ingvar soon had trouble dealing with the product codes. To help him overcome his weakness, he created a system where he, instead of numbers, gave names to each object. Tables were named after places, garden chairs after islands. Now, Ingvar was able to remember and visualize each product. By making shopping memorable, IKEA became the world's largest furniture company, and Ingvar Kamprad one of the richest men in the world. But not all children are as lucky as our protagonist, and some need our support. To help children with dyslexia, we can strengthen their speech perception, which children begin to form at about 6 months old when they start to pay attention to the sounds of spoken language. This usually happens as they focus on the movements of their parents' lips to link visual with auditory input. Lip reading is important because our mind usually prioritizes what we see over what we hear. Children who were raised with little to no exposure to one-on-one conversations can have problems connecting auditory inputs with lip and tongue movements. Some may not even realize that it takes a completely different mouth, tongue, and lip movement to produce letters as similar as B and D. They lack what's called phonological awareness, and if they are also dyslexic, they have it especially hard. Practicing phonological awareness can help children train their minds to understand their own mouth movements, sounds, and word structures. Hence, professional therapists often focus first on the basics, such as speaking and listening. Only later do they move on to the more complex forms of communication, such as reading and writing. By the way, in Finland, children learn reading at age 6 or 7, and only 4% are diagnosed with dyslexia. Kids in the UK start school at age 4, but the National Health Service estimates 10% to be dyslexic. Later, Finnish students rank top as the world's most literate people, while British pupils rank somewhere in the middle. What are your thoughts about and experiences with dyslexia? Did your teachers punish kids for making spelling mistakes, or did they try to help them? Share your thoughts in the comments below. To experience phonological awareness yourself, do the famous McGurk effect experiment. It demonstrates how our visual perception beats our auditory one and shows the importance of one-on-one conversations.
Thank you very much. I hope you did enjoy that feature. And to break down all of what we have heard that we didn't understand is our presenter tonight. And I'm going to be introducing to us momentarily our presenter. So Paula Dixon is the co-founder of SET Foundation. She is passionate about helping teachers, parents, and students to understand, value, and support the dyslexic individual. For a number of years, Paula supported students struggling to read and write by providing suitable assistive technology. She considered herself to be made by dyslexia and attributes her creativity, problem solving, and communication skills to her dyslexia thinking. Paula is a human resource and people analytics specialist with over 20 years of experience. She has developed expertise in computing and data analytics. She holds a BSc honors in computing from Anglia Ruskin University in the United Kingdom, and holds an associate diploma in human resource management from the Chartered Institute. Sorry about that. Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development Association in the United Kingdom. Let's put our virtual hands together as we make welcome our presenter, Paula Dixon.
Hello and good evening, everyone. That was sounds so glamorous considering how I struggled to get there, but we'll talk about that later. Thank you, Ramoy, for having me. This is I'm looking forward to sharing with you tonight. As this is close to my heart and my own personal experience with dyslexia, I think people will find it quite interesting. Now, how do I share? I'm now going to have to get you to share for me. So let me do that first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right, just want to make sure you're seeing this now. Let me play from the
Yes,
start.
we are.
Thank you. All right, so as Ramori said, I am Paula. I am the co-founder of SET Foundation, which is the Society for Education and Technology. And that was founded during COVID, you know, and I think COVID has a lot to answer for, good and bad. But, you know, it came out of my frustration with always feeling and seeing children and adults struggling with literacy and being defined by the fact that they had issues with reading and writing. So that's where it was formed. It came out of that for me. I struggle with that too. But I have siblings as well, which have a what we call neurodiverse. And my older brother is ADHD, and which is the hyperactive disorder, very active, that sort of thing. We'll go into that in more detail, explain what that is. And dyscalculia is my sister, who's a specialist teacher at the top of her profession in the UK, struggles with numbers and being able to deal with numbers and understand the numbers and mathematics. We'll go into that some more. So we had 3 siblings here with 3 different, we were all neurodivergents, struggling with different issues over the years, not knowing that we were struggling with this, not being aware of each other's struggle. And when we came together as in our later years, we realized that work together, because with all our differences and our weaknesses, it required that we had the support of each other to get through that, which is what neurodiversity is all about. You know, your strengths and your blind spots, weaknesses, are things that we support each other in, and then we make a great team. So 3 siblings with different stories, but we believe in the fact that we should be inclusive and that we should be allowed to think differently. So our goal together was to work with organizations and individuals who felt as passionate about what we wanted to do. So what are the missing pieces that we see? So as SET has noticed that we're not utilizing individuals who are neurodivergent. And again, I'll go into that a lot, which we don't actually fit that profile half the time. We also want all individuals to recognize the signs of learning differences, whether it's in the workplace, in the school, at home. We want everyone to recognize the signs and know them, because it's important in order to change lives and to improve lives. We also want the tools and that need to be put in schools, and the technology, which isn't expensive or extravagant, or just the techniques that need to be used in schools to be utilized and to be put in the schools, the whole can learn. We also want a data bank. We want to know how many people are dyslexic, ADHD, struggling with these difficulties within Jamaica. We have data about the UK and other countries, but we want to know what's happening in our country, Jamaica. Because I went to school in Jamaica, and I struggled, and I got to grade 10 and had to repeat. And I'll talk to you about why grade 10 is such a really important point. And some of you may know why. And so I had to repeat. And data now that we're collecting here is actually explaining why that is, and that a lot of dropouts happen between grade 9 and 10, and why. So we'll look at that in a minute. And no child should be left behind, right? Because they're neurodivergent. Our approach to this, we want to do dyslexia screen. So we started screening. We screened about 30 students in the downtown Kingston recently, and found that out of the 30, 28 had learning difficulties and had literacy gaps. And that's quite a high number. It's much more than the 1 in 5 that we have been told happens in the UK and other parts of the world. Dyslexia training and certification for teachers and for parents. We're offering 2 types of programs, one for teachers, one for parents to help their children at home, one for tutors to help them to help their students. So we're offering different types of programs for reading teachers, as well as for tutors who want to support their students or adults within a classroom environment. We're offering what we call dyslexia awareness programs. We want to send people out there on our behalf to talk about dyslexia, because we found that you will be impacted. By the time I'm finished with this presentation, you would know or be thinking of someone who may be dyslexic or struggling with a learning difficulty. That always happens. And we want to create analytics, as I said, data, which is going to be so valuable to us as a country, and you'll see why in a minute, because there are different areas in society that is affected by dyslexia, and we're not aware of it. And so we'll move on to being aware of that. So what is neurodiversity? Let me just get to this. I've been saying that word a little bit, and we want to know what it is. It refers to the different ways a person's brain processes information. So we're not, as they call it, we like to refer to it as a learning disability, but it really is a learning difference. The way we process information is just different, and that's all it is. And so we describe it as an alternative way of thinking. So we don't think, for example, I don't think in words, I think in pictures. Hence, you'll see a lot of diagrams and pictures to help me remember what term is used. So I put an umbrella, it helps me to remember. And if you look below, you can see a few of the examples of the ones that we focus on. And why do we focus on these? And you can see the meanings of them, what they are, what they mean. It's because they seem to be the top 5 or 6 that people struggle with. But what the other side of it is, how does this help our society? Well, if you have a look, you'll see that my dyslexia, I'm a visual thinker. As I said, I don't think in words. I think in pictures, and I'll explain that to you a little bit more later. I'm extremely creative, and those are the 2 main ones I can say. And there's others that I can talk about, but these are the top ones. My brother, who's ADHD, he's very creative, hyper-focused, and full of energy and passion. He can convince you about anything because of that passion. And my sister, it's so true, her verbal skills are excellent, and her empathy is really high. So these are the sort of things that we have. Now, dyscalculia, which she is verbal skills, very, very high. I know someone who's dyspraxia, and also their verbal skills is really high. So this just tells you how good they would be in the world, in the working environment, where their skill sets lie. Now, neurodiversity facts. These are some things that we need to be aware of. That approximately 1 in 7 individuals is neurodiverse. Now that is changing. It's actually becoming higher. Dyslexia is 10% of that. Dyscalculia is 7%. Dyspraxia is 5%. ADH 4%. Autism is 2%. If you look, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia is quite much higher than the rest, which is why we're focusing on these particular areas. So dyslexia awareness, what is that and what are we trying to do? So what is dyslexia? Well, I like to spell dyslexia, as you can see below. My brain says that's how we should be spelling it, but we don't. That's how it's spelled above, and that requires me to decode. So for me to get that spelling right, I would have to use what we call decoding. If I'm not decoding, this is how I would spell it. All right. So a lot of individuals spell things incorrectly because that's what they're hearing is what they are believing is the right spelling of things. So dyslexia affects your reading and writing. We have difficulty processing stuff. We're terrible at organizing stuff. We have to really plan way in advance to organize things well. We struggle to remember information, and therefore that's the reason why I like that I think in pictures, because it helps me to remember. And so that's one of the reasons why we do that. At the moment, the world research shows that 1 in 5 persons is dyslexic or is dyslexic. But my testing so far with Project STAR, which I'm a part of at the moment, we're working in partnership with them. We've tested children, I said before, and 28 of these children out of 30 showed signs of dyslexia as well as literacy gaps. I've tested 60 adults so far. We're going up to 90 now. And within that group, we've noticed that out of every 30 set we've tested, roughly about, if I remember my stats properly, you've got to forgive me, it's 25 out of 30 in one set, 28 out of 30, and the figures are shocking in the sense that these individuals are either dyslexic or have literacy gaps. So our figures are showing much higher than what we are seeing in the UK research that they're doing at the moment across the UK and Europe. All right, but is that really a bad thing? Well, we don't think so. We at SET think this is great. That means we have all these talents and gifts we're not tapping into, all the things that we are good at, like the creativity, the problem solving, the leadership, the analytical skills, communication skills, and so much more that we're not tapping into because we're looking at a one size fit all, which is not what we're about. We should be more about looking at the neurodivergent and seeing what they offer apart from just literacy in terms of can they write a good email. There is more to us than that, and there are tools to help with that, so we haven't got to worry about that so much. So UK research shows, and this is serious, this really is significant for us, that 1 in 5 persons is dyslexic. I'm saying that in Jamaica, I believe it's higher. Now, we've tested dropouts of school. We've tested over 60, and we found that that all of those that dropped out of school had a literacy problem, practically all of them that dropped out because they didn't complete grade 9. So a lot of people that we've tested haven't gone past grade 9. Only a few have completed high school. And all those that didn't go past grade 9 had literacy difficulties, which tend to show an issue with dyslexia mainly, or just having literacy gaps where they weren't getting it, just not understanding. We're also in the process of arranging to test young individuals, adolescents who have left school or are still in school or are leaving school, who may have a drug and alcohol problem, because we believe that there's some connection, dyslexia, with that as well. And there's a high volume and it's growing. It's becoming quite alarming for individuals in Jamaica who work in that area because they're not sure why it's going up so rapidly. We've not been able to do juveniles here because it's a lot of red tape, and we've not been able to qualify to do that yet. But it's something we would love to do. We have to remember that dyslexia is genetic. And this is the bit that I know a lot of people don't like to hear. My mother is dyslexic, and so all my sisters are dyslexic, funny enough, but my brothers aren't. One of my parents was, not both, but all the girls, somehow we ended up being dyslexic or having some sort of learning difficulty. Now, if one parent is, and you have more than one child, chances are one of those children, if not both, may be dyslexic. If both parents are dyslexic, your child most likely will be dyslexic. It's just the way it works because it's genetic. One of the things that we noticed as well is within apprentice in the UK, that they're now noticing, they've done the research and found that 35% of apprentices are dyslexic, and they're normally which makes sense because they're very good with their hands. They're very good with that sort of study where it's hands-on, having both, and they tend to do well there. So dyslexia, of course, they're again being the most common. So we have a crisis on our hands. And I'm going to ask someone to read this for me because I think it'd be more impactful if someone else read it than me. And then just for us to open up a little bit discussion as to what does this tell you, and how do you, and what does this remind you of? So would anyone be brave enough and just read this for me? Thank you. Anyone going to read it for me?
Miss Rose, you want to go ahead?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Dyslexia, if left untreated, or wait, hold on. If left, I read it. Dyslexia, if left unidentified and or unassisted, can cause social and emotional troubles and is associated with poorer life outcomes across the social determinants of health and well-being, resulting in reduced education and employment opportunities, low economic status, poor health literacy, and most distressingly, and over representation in the justice system.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. So reading that now, I'm going to put this out to everybody. Which ministries do you think, and does this remind you of a particular country that we're in? I mean, if you look at it, can someone just tell me some of the ministries that you think would be involved in these? For example, Ministry of Health is one that I can see straight off. What are the other two ministries? There's two more there that you can spot in there that would have an overwhelming issue with this particular thing. Can we talk about that, Tanya?
Oh, Ministry of Education?
Yes, Ministry of Education, and there's one more.
Is it social development?
That's right. So tell me now, who does this remind you of? Which country right now is struggling with all of these things?
Apart from Jamaica?
Just Jamaica. I just want to hear Jamaica. The fact is, if we look at this, this is such a profound statement because it shows you that Jamaica is struggling right now with all of these issues, and it's a crisis. And some of it could be contributed to the fact that if people are going misunderstood, because I was misunderstood all my life until the age of 42, misunderstood and thought of as being dumb, slow, teach her slower and she'll learn. It makes no difference. You know, just push her harder, get her to work harder, makes no difference. And then, of course, you don't want to do it anymore, which is what happened to me. And so after I left school with no subject, I got fed up. They were trying the wrong things and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So they were just pressing the wrong buttons and I could not respond. So that's basically what happened there. So thank you so much, Tanya, for participating there. So what are the myths and facts about dyslexia? People with dyslexia are not smart. Well, that's so true. Look at Richard Branson. I think he's smart and he can't read properly. No, and that's just my simple answer to that. We're just as smart as our peers. We just think differently and need to be taught in a preferred way that we can learn. That's all. Our brain is wired differently. You need to try harder. I used to get beaten at school to try harder, to do harder. And all that did was gave me anxiety, stress, and I still didn't get it. Or, my favorite one is put me in the slow class, in the slow group, and tell me the same thing you were telling me in the class, but just do it slowly. It don't work. You're teaching me something that I cannot grasp because of the teaching method you're using, but you're thinking that if you tell me slowly, it's going to make a difference. It makes no difference. I just need the right instructions. I need the right approach. Teach me the right approach and I'll get it first time. Dyslexia does not go away. It's a lifelong issue, and you learn to deal with it and live with it, and you learn to perform as what people call a normal and get on in life like anyone else. If I don't tell people I'm dyslexic, they don't know. Okay. We are trying very hard. I just want to reiterate that your child, your brother, whoever you know, or your co-worker who struggles with writing, or you think, oh, it's so terrible. Look what they've done. Look how they've done this. How can they do this? They're trying really hard, but they're just not wired that way. And so they have to use tools. So I help people in the workplace learn to use tools so that they can actually perform at a level which no one would even know they were dyslexic. The signs of dyslexia. I'm only going to go through a few of the signs because there's a lot of signs, but just for you to get an idea, just in case you want to think, oh, I know someone who's been struggling. Let me see if some of these signs may apply. They have poor standard of written work compared to how they speak. So I speak very well, but my written work would be normally full of errors, may not be as fluent as my speaking. That's just the way it is. So I tend to record myself, and then because I'm great at typing, because of dyslexia, I've learned to type because it helps me with my spelling mistakes. I will then listen to what I've recorded and then write. So this is what I have to do to help myself, especially if I'm writing something really long or quite detailed. Our poor handwriting can be based that we struggle with motor skills, or for me, it was I would want to cover up the fact that I couldn't spell words right. So I would scribble just the beginning and the end, and I would know what it is. We produce messy work because we get confused when we're writing and we cross out and we do all this stuff a lot. So yes, we will do that. And we can spell the same word differently in one sentence or two sentences. It's just the way it is. Our brain gets confused and we misspell. Grammar and punctuation, you may notice through my presentation that that's not consistent. I left it that way so you could see that I am truly dyslexic. Yes, I confuse uppercase and lowercase at times, especially if I'm stressed or tired. This is an example of what people with dyslexia may write like. On the left, I think this person is trying to hide that they're not really that good at spelling. And you know, on the left, I mean, on the right side of the screen, I think this person is a slow writer, because I've found that people who write bigger tend to write slowly. And so they're making lots of mistakes there, as you can see. Okay. The next slide is reading. Now I ask someone to read because if I'm anxious, it's not going to come out very well. So I always ask someone to read for me if I'm feeling that way. And sometimes I may feel confident enough to read. We omit words when we're reading, and I didn't want that piece to go with any words omitted. So I said, let me get someone else to read it. We fail sometimes, especially if we're tired or anxious, because we struggle with anxiety. Then we will miss words. Some other things you will notice is that this here, the middle one represents me, and I struggled for a time with things looking double, thinking it's glasses and all sorts, but it's just the way your brain sometimes doubles up things. So these are the three patterns that some dyslexics may struggle with. So you can struggle with this in reading from a book, reading from a board. So you know, you have students that struggle to copy from a board. It could simply be mean that the way they're seeing things, they're not seeing it properly. And it doesn't mean that they need glasses. It doesn't, it just means the dyslexia is playing. Sometimes they have issues with blurring and stuff like that. Not all the time, it comes and goes, but this can happen, all right? So let's try it. So I'd like someone to be brave enough to try my next activity. Now, I'm assuming that nobody here is dyslexic, but I want you to experience what it's like for a dyslexic person. Now, I want a volunteer before I move to the next slide. It's not difficult. It's just giving you an idea of how someone feels. Any volunteers?
I'm here.
Oh, Tanya, thank you so much for volunteering. Now, Tanya, this task is not difficult. What I'd like you to do is to tell me the color and not read the word. And I want you to do it as if you're reading normally, at normal speed. Think you can manage that? Let's try that.
Tell you the color.
Not the word, yes. And I just want you to do that at normal reading speed, just like how I would read. Try naming the colors below to find out what it is like when your brain has to work extra hard. It can be like this for people with dyslexia. So I want you to read like you're reading a sentence, but instead of reading the words, you're going to read the colors. You're going to tell me the colors. So when you're ready, start.
Oh, like green, green, blue, purple. Pink.
Oh.
Like that pink. Pink, blue, red. What am I? Red there, black. No, hold on there. Hold on there. Green, blue, yellow. Jesus.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think
So
failed.
Tanya, can you imagine the pressure of a teacher, the pressure of a teacher saying, come on, read, you're not reading. No, come on, that is not blue, that is pink. Come on, can you imagine that added pressure with you trying to read something?
Yes, it's very confusing.
How did you feel? How does it make you feel?
Yes, confused.
Confused. Very good, because because dyslexics do feel confused a lot. All right, Ramoy, I'd like you to do this for me, this exercise, because I would love everyone to try it, because it's just the feeling of getting how a dyslexic person feels. But Ramoy, can I ask you just to try? Thank you so much, Tanya, that was funny. Can I get Ramoy to try it, please, for me? And see
just to name the colors.
Sorry, 1 minute. Just go back. Yes, just the colors, not the words. I want the colors, please.
Going down, green, purple, purple.
No, across to the right. That's how you read. You'd be going across, right?
I say I want the colors.
Just the colors.
Green, what color is that? Brown, pink, yellow, green, blue, yellow.
No, just the color. I don't want to give me the words. I want the color.
All right, so I have green, brown, pink, yellow, green. Oh, you want the colors?
That's
green,
right.
The colors.
Blue, black, red, purple, yellow, brown, yellow, purple, blue,
Okay.
orange, yellow.
Okay, so you're mixing it up, right? Some of you you're reading some colors, but you're saying
I'm
some
dyslexic.
words. No, that's how a dyslexic feels. So I know that it's light and it's fun, but if you put the added pressure of a teacher or a parent telling a child to read something, and that being done consistently over and over, expecting a different result, you're wearing that person or that child down. You're giving them anxiety, you're giving them stress, you're making them dislike letters and reading at all. They don't want to do anything with the textbook. So I've heard people complain to me, oh, well, when he's outside playing, he's happy. As soon as I say, come and let's read, he's depressed and he doesn't want to do it because of the stress. It's very stressful, all right? So just think about that. And it's just nice for you to have a little idea of how it might feel for a dyslexic person reading. So what does the world say about dyslexia? Well, research shows that by 2025, as soon as that, 50% of all our jobs will be performed by machines, and that's from the WCF. And a new hybrid of workforce will emerge with skills needed for the workplace of tomorrow. Not today, tomorrow, because things are changing. We need people with complex problem-solving skills, creativity, originality, emotional intelligence, leadership, social influence. We need all those skills. That's what's going to become more important. Neurodivergent thinking skills is the future of our workforce. We have a lot of individuals who are neurodiverse, whether they're dyslexic, autism, that can actually who have those skills and will be very useful in our workforce if we can tap into it. We have a competitive advantage. We can be useful in organizations, we can be useful in our country, in our families, we can be useful. This is what I'm driving at, we are useful. So companies like Microsoft, Dell, IBM, Ernst & Young, HP, all these companies are now got their HR hiring for neurodiverse individuals. They're all scrambling to find these people who are going to think differently and keep them ahead of their game by 2025. Even the intelligence agency Britain's GCHQ. They're like big on that. They have nearly, I think it's 55% of their staff now, neurodivergent, because they're fantastic at problem solving. You know, when there are bomb threats or issues or patterns in terrorist attacks, they're very good at working out what would happen, what the actual patterns are, to know if there's going to be another attack in other areas. So it's in another place in the UK, and you know, we know that bombings in the UK are a big thing. So that's what they're used for in a nutshell. But we have that, some of them have great memory, you know, and the mathematics side of them. I worked with a group of dyslexics and autistic people who were PhD level, and they were being used to create new software, and they're amazing. They're really amazing how they think and how they problem solve. So these are the things and skills that are going to be used in 2025, and everyone's scrambling from these large organizations to find individuals that can fit that. So in the UK now, you will see adverts saying, we are looking for individuals who are dyslexic to work in this area in our company. That's what they're actually saying now. So the role has changed. We're no longer the ones that they're not looking for, but they're changing how they're hiring in order to attract us. So the world of work is changing. So we need to understand the different abilities and skills required for the future. We need to understand them so we can fit in individuals that will actually work for us, and improve our country, our workforces. This is what we should be looking at. Ernst & Young report says that dyslexia provides a significant opportunity for organizations to harness a different and widely untapped pool of talent. And that's what we should be looking at in Jamaica. We have a large pool of talent, of creative individuals that we are not even aware that we have. We have gold in our backyard and we're not utilizing it, or we're not even aware of it. We have to create inclusive teams and individuals in whether it's in the workforce or in our schools. We have to be more inclusive to identify these individuals. The great dyslexics. Now, I try to find dyslexics in Jamaica, but as it's not one thing that is really acknowledged here, or nobody really wants to talk about it, or people are embarrassed about dyslexia, I could not find any. I think I've identified a few people that may be, because I am, but I don't think I should call any names. So let's have a look at some great dyslexics. We have dyslexic thinkers. Have a look. These are people that are dyslexic. I don't have to call the names, you can see them. We have great actors, film directors, we have sports people, we have musicians. These people, all dyslexics. If you were aware of it or not, they're dyslexic and they're doing it extremely well. So your takeaway from this presentation is we need to empower our neurodivergents to know that it's okay to be different, that this slow learner that they've attached to us is not true and it's unnecessary. We just think differently. We ensure that everyone in Jamaica understands neurodiversity, dyslexia, ADHD, understands what it means, and that it's not just about someone being slow or has to be put in a special group. It's not about that. It's about the way we think and what we can offer. We need to coach our teachers on the best practices of dyslexia neurodivergence, how to create successful teams, how to work with the students, how to identify it, how to assist that child, not necessarily, or that adult, not necessarily in the classroom, but finding the proper identifying the issues and find the proper support for them so they can get on with their education or with their lives. Sorry. And take the word dyslexia from a word surrounded with fear to a word surrounded with strength and acceptance. We need to stop thinking of it as something negative and realizing the positives and the things that we can do to improve this in our country, and to use that to push our country forward in the right direction. I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions. because this is coming to the end of my presentation. Any questions, anyone?
Not so much a question, but I've heard the word before, dyslexia, I've heard it before, but seeing your presentation now, it kind of let me feel sad in a way that, because so we have so many people, even children who struggle in a class setting on a daily basis. And you might, like I see some of the presentation that you placed there, saying that probably that person is lazy or just dunce or something. They are not really seen as a person who is a slow learner, or a person who will said, okay, then instead of saying to me then that the chart, the board is black, and I'm saying that the board is green, instead of saying, okay, then I'm not just gonna put you into a low stream. I'm just gonna try to show it to you in a different way. But then into a Jamaican setting now, which I can speak of, you don't have that in a classroom. You have 38, 40 children, and then it's like only the fittest of the fittest survive. And I mean, how do we even deal with that here?
Right. So what we have been doing, and what happens in the UK, but I can tell you what we've been doing here, is that children that we do what we call a screening on children. So we can screen lots of children at once, and we can determine if a child has literacy gaps or they are dyslexic. Now, dyslexia is ranged over 3 levels. You have mild dyslexia, moderate, and severe. Mild and moderate dyslexia, we can take care of those children with specialized classes, which are just an hour a day for a period of time, and then we can integrate them back into the classroom. So we work out what are the issues, because they're not going to have issues with everything. What are the issues? What are they not getting? What can we, sort them out with? For example, I got treated at 42. I was 42 when I failed school, didn't get anything, went through the whole of school. And I passed my common entrance because I was good at patterns. That's how I passed common entrance. And one of the things I noticed is that at 42, it took me 7 years to do a 4-year degree. And you know what my biggest problem was? Was understanding. So I would read something and not understand it fully. And because my reading was so poor, I couldn't read it well enough to get the understanding of what it was, what I was trying to do or need to understand. And so at 42, I got diagnosed. I got classes. By my sister diagnosed me, strange enough, Sharon, and she gave me, I think it was a month of classes just to fill those gaps. She calls, putting a little putty in the gaps, filling it up. And at the end of it, I passed my degree. All the issues I had, it was like I had all the strategies I need to get through life. She gave me everything I needed to manage. And then I used technology, because my background is technology. I used technology to support that. But for children in school, they just need to be taken out of the class. Instead of sent to a reading class, they need to be sent to a literacy class where we have an opportunity to be with them for an hour a day. And we have seen, when they're now integrated back into the classroom, teachers see the difference. We're not asking the teachers in the classroom to do this because that's too much. We're asking, allow us to take these children out. So children that are mild and moderate, we can help. Severe is a little bit different. They will have to have one-to-one classes, and it's best that they're out of that class for a longer period of time, and they're taught in the preferred way of learning for that particular child. And to be honest with you, if teachers were taught how to teach in that preferred way of learning in a classroom of 30, 40, every child would learn. It wouldn't just be a selected few. So the way in which they're teaching, if they adjusted that to be a more multisensory approach, it would mean that every child would learn, not just some. I don't know if that answers your question, Tanya.
Yeah, yes.
So the issue here is I misunderstood because no one understands how I learn. And that's what I faced all my life. Whether I was in the UK or I was in Jamaica studying, I faced that. And it devastated my confidence, took away my ability to be creative, because you lose everything when nobody believes that you can do something. You lose everything. And it's very difficult to regain that. And that's my passion, is to stop children from losing that and to restore that to adults who have lost it.
All right.
Any more questions?
Paula, for me, assistive technology is not a word that is used regularly in Jamaica, especially in the classroom where it's needed. I recently did a training with it, and I couldn't believe that there are so many things that are out there that can be used to assist in the classroom. I'm wondering why we're not taking advantage of these. Just well, for the sake of our viewers, can you tell us one or two of the assistive technology that can be used to assist dyslexic children in the classroom, please? Okay,
so one of the things I would suggest for children, if you have a child or know of a child that struggles in the classroom, is if they have problems, because reading affects comprehension. If your reading isn't great, then you have issues with comprehending what you're reading. So I use a reader, and there's free readers in Google and other, you can just Google it. And there are free readers online that you can use to help you to read books or read passages so that you get the better understanding. Because I've realized that when I have something being read to me, I actually get the full meaning of it. And I have a lot I can build around that, because I can now visualize it and really take it apart and go to task at it. If I'm reading it, I can't. It's harder. So there are reading components on, I can't remember the names of them, but if you Google it, you will see loads of free reading, which if you've got a child that doesn't like to read, get them a reading program online and let them, or an adult who doesn't like to read, and let it read to them, and they will enjoy reading that way. Grammarly is my best friend. I've used that for a very long time, especially when I worked in corporate world, and I was quite senior in my last role, and I had to write a lot of emails, letters, and in HR, you know, you have to do a lot of that sort of thing. And so Grammarly was my best friend. I got a subscription that allowed me to and it improved, it reminded me of my commas and word choices and all of that. And I have to be reminded all the time. This is not something I just grow my, you know, and I get better and better at it. I may get a little better, and if I don't use it for a while, then I go back to square one, and then this helps me. So Grammarly is another good one. There is a list. I'm going to actually send you, Ramoy, a list of all the different free technologies, because I've got them on my computer. I'm going to send you all the things, and you can pass it on to the participants here, people that are here listening, just in case they know someone who's struggling. These are free. A lot of them are free. You don't have to pay for them. I think Microsoft does quite a few of them, and I think Google does a few as well. And there are some paid ones as well, but I think the free ones are enough. There are also sites that can help you to, for example, if there's certain grammar things I don't get or don't understand, then there are sites that I will go to remind myself how it's supposed to work. These sites, I can't remember the names of them, but as I said, I've got terrible memory, so bear with me. I will send you information about that if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about that. Anything else? Is everybody else okay with all of this? Yeah.
It may not be so. It may not be relevant, but one of the names that caught my eyes when you were saying that some of the people who have quote unquote dyslexia, one of the names that caught my eye, I remember they have this movie with someone, it's the same, I don't remember what's his name, these Mohammed people, and they always talk down on him, and but I tell you, he was so creative with his hands. He would sit there and he would make these bombs. He would these little gadget stuff like that, and all of them were bombs. And the strange thing about it is that nobody understood him for a very long time, and until he started to just basically just start killing people. And these people who, and they were saying it's based on a true story. These people that he was affecting was people who he thought hated him, who laugh at him because he couldn't pronounce a word or because he couldn't spell a word. You know, it's just sad that all we need to do is to understand. Hold on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The struggles that I have with it is that being so misunderstood is very, very stressful. And I can't tell you, you know, when I see children being misunderstood and punished because they're not doing things, and I see adults telling me their stories about their struggles with reading, writing, it's extremely sad. And I don't think we understand how not being literate or not being able to read properly because you just can't get it, how it impacts people's lives and what it makes them do. You know, I think a lot of youth that commit crime, when we sit down with them, we've spoken to a few of them, you know, when we've been working in East downtown Kingston, we've spoken to a few individuals who commit crimes, and they just say nobody cares because they're just misunderstood. And they have talents and gifts, and they're very good with their hands, and they're good with doing other things, but that's not what society is interested in, you know. And for me, it's so narrow-minded to have that view. So that's what I'm doing this for, is to change that and hopefully just impact one person at a time, to go out there and make a difference in how they see things. So I hope I've done that tonight. So thank you for listening. SET, dyslexia, we like to call ourselves sometimes. Let us shine a light on this learning difference and create a dyslexic-friendly society. That's what we're all about in a nutshell. We just want people to accept neurodivergence, dyslexia, whatever it is, and understand that we are here just like you or anyone else, and we have a place and we can offer, we have stuff we can offer and be a part of. So thank you again for listening.
Okay. Good.
Getting a feedback. Can you turn off or turn on the device?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that was a break in transmission. Sorry about that. Thank you, Paula, for being with us. It was such a pleasure having you. I'm sure we are well informed and well educated, and we are more aware of what dyslexia is and how it affects us. I'm almost sure one of us on set here today, apart from you, dyslexic, that may include me, but because we have so much learning disability, and you know, it's so sad that, you know, even the classroom, sometimes we can't recognize it. But I'm sure in another few years from now, we'll be even more aware of what, you know, dyslexia is all about, and things will be in place to help our youths, especially those who are turned out at an early age, because, you know, we think they are slow learners or they don't have any use and they won't come after anything good. So it was a pleasure having you and having the persons who have joined us tonight. And these videos will be going far and wide. Persons will be informed. Thank you again for being with us. God bless you, everyone. See you next time, same place. Just take this hat with us, with you as you go. Yes, Ms. Rose. Go ahead, Tanya.
No, I'm saying I'm just amazed listening to her. She's so brilliant.
Mhm.
you know, very, very brilliant. So
Thank you,
blessings.
Tanya. I appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone, again. Let's look at this ad while you prepare to go.
Welcome to Sustained by Grace Ministry and Outreach, a unique ministry that seeks to heal the body of Christ through our various program offerings. These innovative programs are geared toward the nurturing of the whole man, spirit, soul, and body. Among the available programs are the Adult and Elderly Support, Relax, Entertainment, and Laugh Program, REL. This program is designed for persons heading for retirement but are unprepared, empty nesters, and those struggling with depression, mental health issues, and loneliness but need expert advice and help. Our youth ministry club is here to help young people who are losing hope because the devil is trying to stop their progress. Learn social and life skills that will prepare you to be the future leaders and winners. Sign up now for our club. We also have an exciting entrepreneurship ministry club. This is for those who need additional income, want to adequately provide for your family, get free from your 9-to-5 job, and to use your business as a ministry to serve the kingdom of God. Get involved today on your way to financial independence. Are our pastors and leaders suffering from burnout, stress, depression, loneliness, and a feeling of giving it all up and throwing in the towel? Well, we have our pastors and leaders support program. Call us today and let us put you on to an expert support team member. We also offer Christian counseling to anyone who needs it. Become a hand extended as a monthly subscriber to our education and health fund. Proverbs 19:17 says, "He that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again." Donate today. Register now and don't miss these amazing opportunities. All our programs are done online and our prices are very affordable. Please see program listing and costs below and how to get in touch with us. God bless you. Sustained by Grace Ministries and Outreach, nurturing you back to wholeness and life.
Thank you again, everyone. Goodbye for now. Great presentation. All right. Bye, everyone.